There are roads that lead you places, and then there are roads that lead you nowhere. They twist and turn, offering promises of destination, but ultimately swallowing those who venture on them into a void of uncertainty and horror. One such road is the infamous Idiot Mile, a name whispered in hushed tones by those who know its reputation, a road that isn't marked on any map and doesn't seem to exist in any logical sense. It's said that if you drive down it, you'll encounter something that changes you, or worse, claims you forever. Jake had always been one for adventure. He was the kind of person who sought thrill in the unknown, and his friends often joked that he had no sense of caution. So, when he found himself on a long drive to a small town, somewhere remote, somewhere peaceful to escape his chaotic life, the temptation of a shortcut was too much to resist. The night had already fallen, the clock ticking past midnight, and the winding road ahead seemed to offer just the opportunity he was looking for. Pulling out an old, tattered map, he squinted at the faint, barely visible line that stretched across the paper. It was a back road, marked as an alternative route. According to the map, it would save him hours of travel. Jake, dismissing the warning of being too late for such shortcuts, decided to drive through. At first, everything seemed normal. The road was quiet, deserted, just the occasional flicker of his headlights bouncing off dense trees on either side. The road felt long and desolate, but it was nothing out of the ordinary. The stillness almost felt peaceful. But then, Jake noticed something strange. As he neared a particularly winding section of the road, he saw a rusted sign barely visible through the undergrowth. The sign had faded, but it was clear enough. The Idiot Mile. Jake chuckled at the name, not giving it much thought. It was a small town after all, and these places loved to name their roads with quirky monikers. He sped on, eager to reach his destination. The deeper he drove into the mile, however, the more unsettling the atmosphere became. The trees seemed to grow taller, their trunks twisted and contorted, like gnarled fingers reaching toward the heavens. The air felt dense, heavy, oppressive. His car's headlights cut through the darkness, but everything ahead remained murky and indistinct. Then, another sign appeared, one that wasn't on his map. It was a warning, but Jake couldn't make out the words clearly in the flickering light. As his car grew closer, the words became clear. "Turn back now. You're already too far gone." His breath caught in his throat. For the first time, he hesitated. But then, with a shake of his head, he dismissed it. Just an old prank. He was sure of it. His curiosity grew stronger, urging him to continue. The road ahead was empty, not another car in sight. The silence was deafening, like the world around him was holding its breath. As the road twisted once again, he saw something unusual, a faint glow in the distance. Thinking it might be a farmhouse or a gas station, he pressed on. But as he neared, the light revealed something far darker. It wasn't a farmhouse. It was a small, dilapidated village. The buildings were crooked, leaning as though they might collapse at any moment. The windows were dark, and the streets were eerily silent. Jake stopped the car at the edge of the village, unsure whether to venture further. A cold wind blew through the empty streets, making the creaking of the buildings sound like whispers. Something about the village felt wrong. His instincts screamed at him to leave, to turn around and drive away. But he couldn't. Curiosity had him in its grip. Against every rational thought, he stepped out of the car and walked toward the village. The crunch of his boots on gravel, the only sound breaking the unnerving silence. He took a few steps in, looking around. As he approached the center, he noticed figures, tall, thin, humanoid shapes that stood motionless at the edges of the village, their faces obscured by dark hoods. They didn't move. They didn't blink. They just stared at him. Jake called out, his voice shaking, "Who are you?" The figures did not respond, but their presence, their piercing gaze, felt like a weight pushing down on him. Heart pounding, Jake turned around to leave, but when he reached the spot where he had parked his car, he froze in terror. The car was gone. In its place was nothing but the empty road, stretching endlessly into the dark, as if mocking him. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. He had no idea where he was, no way to retrace his steps. His only choice was to keep walking. His mind raced as the shadows grew darker and longer, following him like some unseen predator. His steps quickened. The air thickened, choking him with every breath. As he walked, the world around him began to warp. The buildings now bent in strange angles, as if gravity no longer applied. The streetlights flickered, casting long, twisted shadows that danced in time with his frantic footsteps. He glanced over his shoulder and noticed the figures had followed him. They were no longer standing still. They were moving. Panic surged through him as he broke into a sprint. But the village had become a labyrinth. No matter which turn he took, no matter how fast he ran, the same eerie, abandoned streets greeted him. His heart raced, and the ground beneath him seemed to shift, pulling at his feet. The road had become an endless spiral. Suddenly he saw it, a doorway. It stood tall and imposing at the end of an alley. His breath ragged, he ran toward it, desperate for an escape. The moment he stepped through, the world around him turned black. When Jake awoke, he found himself back on the Idiot Mile, the road stretching before him as if nothing had ever happened. The same sign with the faded red letters, "The Idiot Mile," was there. But something had changed. The air felt even heavier, more suffocating. He looked around, his mind spinning in confusion. This was impossible. It couldn't be the same road. And yet, it was. His car, though, was there. It sat on the side of the road, parked just as he had left it. He rushed to the car, only to realize that the reflection in the rearview mirror was not his own. The face staring back at him was twisted, grotesque. His own face, but distorted, as if someone had taken it and bent it into something inhuman. He backed away from the mirror, his blood running cold. That's when he heard it. A voice, but not his own. It whispered in the shadows, its words chilling and incomprehensible, echoing inside his skull. "You've been here before, and now you never leave." Panic surged through him. He slammed his foot down on the gas pedal, determined to escape this cursed place. But no matter how fast he drove, the road never seemed to end. The landscape stretched on forever, and the same twisted trees and ghostly village appeared in the distance, beckoning him back. The world around him began to distort once more, sky and earth merging into a swirling vortex. His car's engine sputtered, and then silence. The headlights went out, and Jake was plunged into absolute darkness. His car rolled to a stop, and the shadows closed in, swallowing him whole. That was the last time anyone ever saw Jake. The Idiot Mile remains to this day, waiting for its next victim. It whispers in the wind, calling out to those foolish enough to take the road less traveled. And once you drive down it, you'll never be free again. The Idiot Mile never forgets. Now the road waits for another fool. It watches, it listens, and once you step on it, you are already lost.